The first light of dawn stretched across the vast military airbase, pouring warm gold over steel aircraft lined like sleeping beasts awaiting command. Engines grumbled in the distance as ground crews moved with practiced precision. Pilots tugged on gloves, tightened harnesses, and checked every gauge, every bolt, every element of the machines that carried their lives into the sky. The air felt calm, controlled, and predictable, like any other morning. Lieutenant Emily Carter moved quietly through the rows of parked fighters, her helmet tucked beneath her arm, her steps measured and steady. She reviewed her checklist with careful eyes, fingers gliding over switches and instruments in her assigned F-22 Raptor. To anyone passing by, she was simply another pilot, professional and disciplined, respected but not remarkable. There was no swagger in her walk, no spotlight following her. Few knew the truth. Her abilities were unparalleled, her records sealed, her accomplishments buried under layers of secrecy. She flew like the sky itself had trained her. But she never asked for applause, never asked to be seen. Just when the day seemed set to continue its routine rhythm, the alarm system shattered the silence. A piercing siren wailed through the base, followed by flashing red emergency lights. Radios exploded with frantic voices. "Mayday! Mayday!" A pilot was losing power. Captain Reynolds, one of the most seasoned aviators on the base, was plummeting toward the earth in a spiraling F-22 trailing black smoke. The jet shook violently on every camera feed. Onlookers froze, unsure whether they were witnessing a malfunction or a death spiral. Orders flew through command channels, but panic moved faster. Ground crews scattered. Medics rushed to standby, and pilots ran toward their planes, some paralyzed by the fear of what they were seeing. If his aircraft hit the ground, the explosion would devastate everything nearby. The runway, the hangars, everyone close. Emily's heart kicked into high gear, but her mind snapped into calm clarity. Adrenaline sharpened her thoughts. She didn't hesitate. She climbed into her jet and sealed the canopy before anyone could question her intention. Her engines roared so loud that heads whipped in her direction. A streak of power and metal, the Raptor surged forward, wheels lifting from the runway in mere seconds. She shot into the sky like an arrow loosed from a bow, climbing fast and cutting through turbulence. The world below shrank while the danger ahead grew larger with each breath she took. Smoke trails marked the path of Reynolds' wounded jet like a scar across the morning sky. "I can't hold altitude." "She's dropping." Reynolds' voice cracked over the comms, fear ripping through his words. Emily clicked her mic, voice unshakable. "Look at me. Match my movements. I won't let you fall." Her hands moved over the controls with masterful instinct. She banked hard, rolled with perfect timing, and closed the gap between their aircraft. Those watching from below could hardly breathe. Her jet flew with supernatural grace, diving, recovering, adjusting to micro shifts of wind as though the air itself listened to her command. Every second put Reynolds closer to catastrophe. His plane wobbled violently, smoke spraying like a wounded beast. Emily positioned herself with millimeter accuracy, angling into a rescue maneuver not even included in training simulations. Too dangerous, too impossible. But impossible was her territory. She extended the rescue system on her Raptor, her jaw clenched with razor focus. She calculated speed, drift, angle, hundreds of variables flashing through her mind in an instant. Sparks of friction flashed as the mechanism reached for Reynolds' jet, a heartbeat of silence. Then the hook locked in, holding his aircraft steady like a lifeline thrown to a drowning soul. "You're connected. Stay with me," she said, her voice becoming the anchor he desperately needed. She guided both jets, linked in a fragile embrace, back toward the runway. Pilots and cadets on the base watched with awe as the two fighters descended like synchronized dancers emerging from chaos. Tires screamed against the concrete when they landed, smoke swirling as they slid to a halt. For a moment no one moved. No one spoke. And then the cheering began, fierce and explosive, like the release of every breath they had been holding. Reynolds stumbled down from his jet, his knees weak, his face pale. He looked at Emily like she had pulled him back from the afterlife. "You saved me," he whispered, voice shaken by emotion he couldn't hide. Emily simply wiped sweat from her brow and allowed a small smile to cross her lips. "Anyone would have done it," she said, though everyone there knew better. As the base tried to return to normal operations, a new current ran through the air. Conversations hushed whenever Emily walked by. Respectful stares followed her. Cadets whispered with admiration. Pilots who once overlooked her now recognized greatness in their midst. She didn't brag. She didn't even stand in the spotlight. She just kept working like she always had. That night she climbed onto the hangar roof and sat beneath the stars. The sky had always been her sanctuary. There she allowed herself to feel everything she had buried during the chaos. The fear that she might have been too late. The weight of responsibility in every decision, and the warmth of knowing Reynolds would go home tonight because she acted without hesitation. Her secret skill was no longer entirely hidden, but she didn't resent that. True courage didn't care for secrets or fame. It simply acted. Reynolds found her there a day later, a mixture of gratitude and disbelief still in his eyes. "I owe you more than words," he told her, sincerity thick in his voice. She shook her head softly. "You owe me nothing. You'd have done the same for me." The base buzzed for days. The story spread faster than jet fuel ignites. A lieutenant who flew like legend, a rescue maneuver that shouldn't have been possible. Videos replayed in training rooms. Instructors used her flight as a lesson in situational mastery and courage. Young cadets started to dream bigger because she had shown what humans were capable of when instinct and bravery aligned. Emily continued flying missions, calm and quiet as always. She did not chase recognition, but recognition found her anyway. In every salute, every nod of gratitude, every whispered hope from those she inspired. Years later, her name still echoed through the halls like a tribute. Pilots who joined the base long after the event spoke of the mysterious lieutenant, whose steady hands and fearless heart changed what others believed was possible. They said she didn't just save a pilot, she saved belief itself. And every time Emily soared into the endless sky, she carried with her the reminder that sometimes the greatest heroes are the ones who never ask to be seen, yet shine when the world needs them most. If this story reaches you, if it sparks even a small flame inside your heart, then stay with this channel. Like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss the next story waiting to be told.